It's Tuesday, August 28th. The stage is set for MK Stalin to take over as the DMK president today. Brother Alagiri's public rebellion notwithstanding, a succession battle does not seem an immediate possibility. Alagiri, who was expelled from the party by his father 4 years ago, is slated to hold a rally on the 5th of September in Chennai, a show of strength. When asked about Stalin's impending election to the top job, Alagiri reportedly shot back, "I am discussing with my followers. I will show my might when the bypolls are announced." Facing heat from the opposition in the Punjab Assembly over Rahul Gandhi's remarks in the UK denying the Congress's role in the 1984 anti-Sikh riots, Chief Minister Amarinder Singh reportedly named 5 Congress leaders to say that the party wasn't involved, only individuals were. These individuals, he said, are being tried.
There was no Congress involvement other than some people there. And those people I've named from the last 40 years, or 34 years, whatever it is. I have named Sajjan Kumar, I have named Dharamdas Shastri, I have named Arjun Das, I have named Mr. Bhagat, who is the minister, and one more person I named. There are 5 of them. But it was not a party matter, it was those individuals who did it. And those individuals are being tried.
An army court of inquiry has ordered disciplinary action against Major Lethal Gogoi after he was seen with a local Kashmiri woman in a Srinagar hotel earlier this year. Major Gogoi was found guilty of fraternizing with a local in spite of instructions to the contrary and being away from the place of duty while in operational area. The officer was at that time detained by the local police following a reported altercation he had with the hotel staff who refused to allow the woman in at the time of checking in. Major Gogoi had earlier made the headlines when he tied a Kashmiri man to the front of his jeep as a human shield during by-elections, an act that had elicited condemnation from many quarters as being violative of human rights and the Geneva Convention. Several others, though, lauded the major for what they said was his quick thinking that potentially saved lives. Major Gogoi was in May last year awarded the Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card.
Is the most holy Trinity that I set foot today on Irish soil.
39 years ago, when Pope John Paul II celebrated Mass in Ireland, 12.5 lakh people, about 1/3 of the population of the country, attended. The crowd that gathered for Pope Francis on Sunday was nowhere near as large and nowhere as cheerful. A Say Nope to the Pope campaign urged people to request tickets and then not attend as a form of protest. Tensions the pontiff attempted to calm in his 36-hour Ireland trip that was marked by repeated apologies for the decades-long legacy of covert sexual abuse within the church. At various assemblies, the Pope not just acknowledged but also apologized for specific forms of abuse, sexual crimes, women forced by nuns to undertake manual labor, coerced adoptions. The worst yet to come. A former top-ranking Vatican official released a 7,000-word letter on Sunday asserting that the Pope himself helped cover up systemic sexual abuses of the now disgraced American Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, who was suspended in June. Asking the Pope to resign immediately, the letter said he must acknowledge his mistakes and keep with the proclaimed principle of zero tolerance. Refusing to acknowledge the accusations, the Pope said, "I will not say a single word about this." India's flag bearer at the Asian Games, 20-year-old Neeraj Chopra, underlined his status as the best javelin thrower in Asia by clinching the gold medal in Jakarta with a new national record of 88.06 meters. Sudha Singh won a silver in the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase. Neena Varkil won the silver in long jump. Darun Ayaswamy clocked a new national record to win the silver in 400 meters hurdles. And the biggie today, PV Sindhu takes on Tai Tzu-Ying in the finals of the badminton singles. Saina Nehwal, who lost in the semi-finals, has bagged a historic bronze medal. Ever so often, a sporting triumph is more than just that. 22-year-old sprinter from Orissa, Dutee Chand's silver medal win in the 100 meters at the Asian Games is a case in point. Let's rewind to 2014. Just ahead of the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, Chand, who was bringing in the laurels, she had just won 2 gold medals at the Asian Junior Athletics Championship in Taipei, was called in for a series of tests that resulted in her being banned. It would be said she failed a gender test. Dutee had hyperandrogenism. The IAAF, the International Association of Athletics Federations, had in 2011 introduced a controversial rule to weed out what they called unfair advantage. It essentially stated that women who have higher testosterone levels, like those usually found in men, cannot compete unless she underwent testosterone-reducing treatment. A defiant Dutee refused to let this end her career and challenged the ruling at the Court of Arbitration of Sports in Lausanne. Let's look at the checkered history of sex testing. How did all this start? The rules mandating women athletes prove their femininity date back to the Cold War days. The hyperandrogenism rule is only a recent variant. During the Cold War, when muscular women athletes from the Soviet Union were winning medals, fears that men were competing in the guise of women resulted in the introduction of gender verification, where women athletes were made to strip and their genitalia examined. Following outrage, a variant was introduced, chromosome testing, on the basis that women typically have XX chromosome and men XY. The scientific community opposed these tests. Mario Capecci, professor of human genetics at the University of Utah School of Medicine, had this to say to the Globe and Mail. Gender is a very complicated matter. Agreed, females usually have 2X chromosomes, while males have 1X and 1Y. If Y DNA is present, you think this must be male, but it turns out it's not true. Females may have only a part of a Y chromosome, which isn't enough to confirm maleness, or they may have a complete Y but show no male characteristics because Y chromosome is ineffective and unexpressed. That's where the failure of these kinds of tests come in. They are not foolproof. Chromosome testing was stopped in the 1990s. Genetic tests to determine the presence of male-determining gene SRY also proved to be unreliable. Arne Ljungqvist, former chairman of the International Olympic Committee's Medical Commission, who helped abolish blanket testing of women, told the New York Times it was an unethical, unscientific, and discriminatory practice. While mandatory testing was stopped, women athletes continued to be subjected to gender verification tests on complaints or if suspicion was aroused. South African track superstar Caster Semenya being a case in point. The hyperandrogenism rule, which is a form of sex testing, the Mint observes, is unique in the sporting world for being the only policy that prohibits a natural phenomenon. Why is swimming legend Michael Phelps, who has a rare genetic disorder called Marfan syndrome, which is characterized by hyperflexibility, long limbs, and long thin fingers, not seen as having an unfair advantage? Or multiple Olympic medal-winning skier Eero Mintrinta, who had a mutation in something called the EPOR gene, which improves the oxygen-carrying capacity of a person's blood by 25 to 50%. Or, as former Sports Authority of India Chief Gigi Thompson, who had taken a sympathetic view of Dutee Chand's case, was quoted as saying, "Usain Bolt was born with very long legs. He completes the 100-meter race in 41 strides. His nearest competitor takes 45. Should we ban Bolt?" Just about every athlete at the elite level is a physical outlier. Meanwhile, Dutee won her legal battle against all odds in 2015 when the Court of Arbitration of Sports lifted the ban on her and suspended the hyperandrogenism rule. But earlier this year, the IAAF announced it is introducing a new hyperandrogenism rule, which would be applicable from later this year. It caps the permissible level of testosterone for a female athlete to compete. A move that prompted the resignation of an IAAF legal expert who said he could not, in good conscience, continue to associate himself with an organization that insists on ostracizing certain individuals, all of them female, for no reason other than being what they were born to be. This debate, underway now for decades, also has racist, sexist undertones, as the New York Times reminds us in this article. In the late 1940s, an Olympic official, Norman Cox, sarcastically proposed that in the case of black women, the IOC should create a special category of competition for them, the unfairly advantaged hermaphrodites, he said, who regularly defeated normal women. Or more recently, the Russian Federation president likening Serena Williams to a man and calling the sisters Williams brothers.
Let's consider this woman here, who was drummed out of the sport. She had to go to the court of arbitration, did Dutee Chand, to prove her legitimacy, essentially to prove her gender. And here she is now, and she's picked up the silver medal in the Asian Games. That really is a tremendous human story.